I sat on my porch this morning, watching the fog lift off the trees, and it hit me. I am 80 years old. In the quiet of this house, the silence isn't just empty space anymore. It's a library of echoes. Over the last 8 decades, I've watched the world change. But more importantly, I've watched the people leave. Parents, siblings, my oldest friends, and the person I thought would be holding my hand until the very last second. They are all gone now. When you reach this age, you become a ghost in a world that belongs to the young. You see them rushing, worrying about things that from where I'm standing look like grains of sand. They ask me, "What is it like?" Or they look at me with pity, as if being the last one standing is a tragedy. But there is a secret to being 80 that no one tells you until you get here. When everything and everyone is stripped away, what remains isn't just nothing, it's the truth. If you're younger than me, listen closely. If you're my age, take a seat next to me. Today I want to tell you about the things that don't leave, the things that stay when the house is quiet and the phone stops ringing. This is what remains. The first thing I learned is that we never really own anything or anyone. In my 40s and 50s, I thought my life was defined by what I had built. My career, my house, my reputation. I guarded those things like they were permanent. But at 80, I look at my hands and realize they are empty. And that is okay. I've watched the homes I lived in be sold. I've watched my professional legacy be forgotten by people who weren't even born when I retired. What remains isn't the trophy on the shelf. It's the character you forged while trying to win it. I realize that the people we love are just on loan to us. We don't own our spouses or our children. We are just stewards of their time for a little while. When you stop trying to keep people and start just experiencing them, the grief of their departure changes. It turns from a feeling of being robbed into a feeling of gratitude for the loan. What remains is the love you gave, because that is the only thing that doesn't rot or get sold at an estate sale. When you're young, you wait for the big moments, the wedding, the promotion, the grand vacation. You spend your life looking at the horizon. I realized that life isn't made of the mountain peaks. It's made of the walk between them. If I could go back, I wouldn't seek more success. I would seek more noticing. I would linger longer over a cup of coffee. I would listen to the birds with more intent. What remains at the end of a long life is a collection of small, beautiful nothings that turned out to be everything. One of the hardest parts of watching everyone leave is the solitude. We are a generation that was taught to stay busy. But when the kids moved out and the friends passed on, I was left with a stranger, myself. Most people spend their lives running away from themselves. They use noise, work, and people to drown out their own thoughts. But at 80, you can't run anymore. Your knees won't let you. So you sit. And in that sitting, I found a strength I didn't know I had. What remains is your internal fortress. If you haven't built a relationship with yourself, old age will be terrifying. But if you have, it becomes a sanctuary. I've learned that I am enough. I've learned to forgive the man I was at 25 and 50. What remains is a quiet peace with the person in the mirror. You realize that you were your own best friend all along. You just didn't know it. People ask me if I have regrets. Of course I do. Only a fool or a liar says they don't. But at 80, there is a difference between regret and remorse. I regret the risks I didn't take. I regret the words of love I kept bottled up because of pride. But what remains, and what is most painful, is remorse for the times I wasn't kind. We spend so much energy being right. We argue, we hold grudges, we protect our egos. But as I watch the names in my address book get crossed out one by one, I realized that being right is the loneliest victory in the world. What remains is the realization that kindness was always the correct answer, regardless of the argument. If you have someone to call today, call them, not to settle a score, but to say, "I'm glad you're here," because one day they won't be, and the score won't matter at all. There is a strange grace in watching the world move on without you. I see the teenagers with their devices, their new slang, their frantic energy. At first it made me feel bitter. I felt like the world was leaving me behind, but then I realized it's supposed to. What remains is the role of the witness. I am here to see the cycle continue. I see my grandson's eyes, and I see my father's eyes staring back at me. I see that I am just one stitch in a very long tapestry. My job now isn't to lead the parade, but to cheer from the sidelines. There is immense freedom in letting go of the need to be important. What remains is the joy of seeing life renew itself, knowing that a part of my story is woven into theirs. So what remains when everyone has left? Gratitude. A fierce, heart-aching gratitude for the sheer impossibility of it all. That I got to be here. That I got to love, even if I lost. That I got to see 29,200 sunrises. I'm 80, and I'm not afraid of the dark anymore, because I've realized that the light never really goes away. It just moves to the next room. If you're listening to this, don't wait until you're 80 to find what remains. Look for it now. It's in the breath you just took. It's in the person sitting across from you. It's in the quiet of your own heart. Thank you for sitting with me on this porch for a while. If this spoke to you, share it with someone you love. Subscribe to join us for more reflections on the journey of life. And please leave a comment. Tell me, what is one thing you've learned to cherish as you've grown older? I read them all. It makes the house feel a little less quiet,